And before we get into the episode today, just a big thank you to all of our patrons and our producers here on Esoteric Atlanta. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible. If you would like to help support the work we do here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link to our Patreon account down in the description box below. Hey, you guys, good morning, July 2nd, 2025. I know I'm a day late, but happy Canada Day to my Canadian friends and fellow subscribers here in the Esoteric Atlanta community. I hope you had a wonderful Canada Day. I don't know what you guys do for Canada Day, so if you want to let me know down in the comment section below what you do on Canada Day, then I would love to know that. I just noticed in my planner that the 1st of July, July 1, is Canada Day. And to the Americans, this is just a big holiday week, right? Because this Friday is the 4th of July. And in my opinion, as an American, I do think the 4th of July is one of our most important national holidays. I love the 4th because it's like Christmas without the pressure of gifts. And it's definitely a time for celebration, and it's a time to pay homage and respect to all of our ancestors collectively who made this country possible, who made this beautiful constitution that we have possible. And we do have coming up this week, I have a show, a 4th of July show in the works with some really cool guests. So we'll get there when we get there. But this week is, with that being said, this week is a holiday week. So please be careful out there. Please make sure that you're not getting in the car, we'll say after celebrating. You guys know what I mean. Just be very careful, and please take this time to enjoy your friends and family and to enjoy the battle that we've been in and what people have sacrificed to make sure that humanity stays free. And as what we continue to do, like my parents used to say growing up, freedom isn't free. And all of us on the YouTubes in our own countries are working really hard and diligently to make sure that our countries stay free and go back to a sense of freedom for future generations. And so I applaud all of you guys in whatever country you're in. My hat's off to you, and I hope that you take the time to actually enjoy the fruits of your labor and enjoy the life that you've been given in your countries. I also want to remind you guys some housekeeping before we get into the conversation today. What I'm going to try to start doing, I'm really trying to work with the algorithms of YouTube as best as I can. You know, there's no sense in martyring myself. I know a lot of people get frustrated. They're like, you should just say the words and this is YouTube's house. It's YouTube's rules. And so in this game of war, like, right, you have to learn to play by the rules, right? Some battles are not worth fighting. And if the information is getting out to people because I am watching my words, then we've won. What's the point in intentionally using words that we know are going to get us booted or shadow banned, and then our work goes into a dark hole in the corner of YouTube? Like, that's so stupid. Like, that's so low intelligence. I know people who get really pissy about that, even in the YouTube content creator world, where they're like, well, I'm just going to speak my mind, blah blah. But I'm like, but then your work's not getting out, so you're just really, don't piss on your own foot and call it rain, right? Like, you have to play by the rules. This is YouTube's platform. And regardless of whether we agree with it or not, it's their house and their rules. And so I am trying really hard to work within. I know that I'm shadow banned. You guys, like, if you see this video and you like the content here, just make sure you check the channel every day for new content, for new guests, because sometimes it does happen where we get put in a corner, and we're trying not to have that happen. We're trying really hard. I know myself, Catherine, a lot of us are trying really hard to work with YouTube in order to be respectful to their rules while also getting our information out. And so for those who understand that, I thank you so much. Of course, I do have the backup channel over on RUMBLE. We can't say that word. That's, so we'll spell it. And I do post each video like 2 days later over on the other platform, just as a backup. And so, you know, you can always make sure you're subscribed there. I'm also on Substack now, so you can also subscribe to my Substack, which every time a video posts, I will put it on Substack. So hopefully you'll get notified there too. You know what? But that's just the life that we live in, and this is really, in my opinion, some first world problems. And hopefully, if we continue to be diligent with reminding people how precious free speech is and how precious each life is, and hopefully this will course correct itself. But for now, we can't throw a temper tantrum. We can't be obnoxious. We have to actually play the game in order to win the game. You don't win the game by throwing the game over and walking out and saying, I'm done with this. You win the game by playing it. And so I thank you guys for being really, for those who do understand why we use particular words in replace of other words, I thank you for understanding that and for continuing to support us. It's all for the greater good of us in humanity and trying to get humanity's freedoms reinstated. Also, with that being said, I've been really studying with the algorithms, like what is best in order to get your videos out. And I have learned that it is best to not post every day, to like post every other day. And when there's a really potent video, like a big video, to wait a couple of days to post the next one. That is what's best for YouTube. And that's actually, you know, when I first started my channel, that's what I was doing. I was posting Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That for like a year or two, that's all I posted was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and like Tuesdays and Thursdays, I would be a guest on other people's channel. Then of course, as you guys came along and I got more and more excited and we were doing more and more and more work, it turned into posting like every day. And what I have learned is that can kind of backfire, especially if you cover the topics that we cover. And so I'm going to try to post every other day at this point. Now, with that being said, at the end of the week, we might have like Thursday and Friday, we might have videos in a row. That's just how the schedule is worked out, but I want you to be aware of that, because if you notice that I'm not posting, it's like every other day I'm posting, I'm doing that to try to catch the algorithms. And so I appreciate you guys for understanding that as well. With these videos, I just want to clarify, because I think something people are a little bit confused when I have the chat going. So there's two options you can do when you are a content creator with the chat. You can either go live and therefore you have a chat, or you can premiere a video and have the chat. Most of the time I'm premiering videos. So when there's a chat going on, the video has been pre-recorded and it's being premiered. And if you don't do the premiere, if you just schedule it, that's when there's no chat and the video just drops. And so don't be confused about that. That's why I'm able to sometimes be in the chat and talk to you, is because I'm not filming at the moment. I'm watching it back with you guys. That for me, I really respect content creators who are able to do lives all the time and actually be present with the recording with you guys in the chat. But just because of my schedule, I can't really do that a lot. You know, YouTube isn't my only job. You know, I do teach outside of the house. I have students, and I also have the Esoteric Academy. And so I'm typically up super early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning. I have Brahma Muhurta, I teach, I practice, and then I come home and film. So I'm pretty much like in bed by like 7 o'clock in the evening. I might be watching TV for a while, but I'm already relaxing. And most people to do lives have to do it after work hours. And so at this moment, that's just not, my schedule just can't accommodate that because of my other work. That other work is literally what pays the bills. So yeah, thank you guys for understanding that, but please don't be confused. So if you are in the chat in a video, this video right now, for example, know that it's pre-recorded. And so that's why I could be in the chat with you. Now with this video, at the time I have this video airing, I might be in the chat with you guys. So if I'm in the chat with you guys, I'm in the chat with you guys, but I might not be in the chat with you guys depending on some classes that I have on Wednesday. So don't freak out if you don't see me in the chat. I've got great moderators. You guys are awesome. And so have fun in the chats. You know, I see people apologizing sometimes in the chat when they get off subject and they start talking about something else. Don't apologize. You can talk about whatever you want in the chat. Like I'm not a micromanager. The only thing I don't want is bullying. That's the only thing I don't want. And that's where I will block people, is if there is bullying behavior happening in the chat against my guest, myself, or any other person. I take great pride in this community, Esoteric Atlanta. Like, this is, my channel is not my channel name. I wanted it to be like a collective of voices, and I just named it Esoteric Atlanta because that's where I live. It is Atlanta, and I started off by doing stories about the state of Georgia, but I want Esoteric Atlanta to be, you guys are all a part of it, you know. Dragonfly, Jojo, everybody, you guys, Linda, like, you guys are all, you know who you are. You all are a part, just as much a part of Esoteric Atlanta as I am. And so if you start talking about something else in the chat while the video is going, don't apologize, keep chatting. That's what this community is for. Don't worry about that. The only thing I don't want you to do is to be mean to people. That's it. You can talk about whatever you want besides that. Do not worry about changing subjects or anything like that. I'm glad that you have a safe space. I hate to use that word, safe space, but I'm glad that you have a safe space to find these friendships and to develop these relationships with people all around the world, because this is a really interesting time period that we're in, and we do need that support from our fellow humans, regardless of what country they're in. And so please don't feel like you have to apologize if you're talking about something that's not the subject of the video. All right, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to bring up before I give you my opinions on what's going on in the Gypverse. Oh, the Esoteric Academy, we're still running our specials. So if you want to join the Esoteric Academy, you can use my name, BRICE20, and that gives you 20% off your first 6 months of tuition with us. Our prices are already really low. And for those who are in the Academy, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. The biggest problem, it's not really a problem. Like, Paula and I have to like remind ourselves sometimes, we have all the content. The content's not the problem. What we're playing with and where we're growing is with the website and the technical issues. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would be teaching virtually, I would have laughed at you. I thought that my life was going to be in a Mysore room. And, you know, they always say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I do think that I have the gift of the gab. I can be loquacious. That's the Vata in me. And so I do see how my teaching can transfer to a virtual platform. And with that being said, though, I was never trained in how to actually film workout videos. I can film and edit videos with me chit-chatting to you, but to learn how to actually film a workout video, that's been a learning process. And I thank you guys for being so patient with us as we're experimenting with this. And so what we have done, thank you to my boyfriend, he is the real superhero in all of this. We have rearranged the front room of our house where I typically film the workout videos. Now, what's complicated is that my boyfriend is an artist. He whittles, he does like sculptures. And so we have a lot of stuff in we're very, like, I'm a clean freak. We're very organized, but he has a lot of like boxes of utensils and a lot of artwork against the wall, stuff like that. And so it's been kind of hard to like work around that. But thank you to my boyfriend, we actually moved the furniture around, we got rid of some stuff, and we've created a space in the front room, which hopefully will work better for filming. I know it's hard with the sofa. It was hard with the sofa there. Sometimes I would get lost in the sofa because a lot of my yoga clothes are black, because black is slimming. So I've had to buy some colorful pants just so you can see me. And now the way that we have it situated, hopefully that won't be a problem. Hopefully you will be able, we've got some lights set up around the floorboard. So hopefully the lights on will also help make the workout, the shapes that you're watching me make, be clearer to you. I have gotten the question a lot with the thing that I wear on my arm. That's my cell phone that I'm wearing on my arm. Just to clarify, you don't have to wear that. That is me adjusting the music. I wear it in my live classes as well. I can adjust the music without actually having to go to the stereo and adjust it because it connects through the Bluetooth. And so when I'm actually doing the exercises, the music is playing for me to hear through my computer, where I can adjust it with my cell phone. And it's also being recorded on the video footage. Then when I do the voiceovers, I go back afterwards and do the voiceovers. So that's what's on my arm. It's just a way for me to control the music while I'm exercising. So don't worry about that. That's not some like accessory that's good for your health, or something that I get questions about that a lot. Don't worry, it's not a weight, it's not anything. It is literally my phone acting as a remote control for the music. So you don't need that. That is just something. I don't even use that for yoga when I teach Ashtanga, because we don't play music, but in my fusion classes here in Atlanta, I do wear it. The strap is bathing suit material, so it collects my sweat. That's why I have multiple different kinds, because sometimes some are dirty. So yeah. So with that being said, if there's any more questions that you have about that, please let me know down in the comments section below. Yeah. Oh, one thing I meant to mention before we get into Gypsy about the 4th of July, this upcoming Friday. So the 4th of July in Atlanta, Georgia, on the 4th, we have the Peachtree Road Race, which is a 10K road race. It's the biggest road race in the world. And it's I love it. It's my favorite thing. I love it. It's awesome. I love road races though, because that's when you see the best of humanity at the finish line. I actually live right by the finish line. That's not doxing me, guys. There's thousands of people that live by the finish line. So if you are by chance coming into Atlanta to run the Peachtree Road Race, I know people qualify for the Olympics through this road race. If you are running it, if you're coming in, please let me know. If you want, I would love to hold a sign up for you at the finish line and congratulate you and be there for you when you cross over that finish line. I'd love to do that. Where you finish with the Peachtree Road Race is on 10th Street in Piedmont Park. And so there's lots of coffee shops, there's lots of restaurants, all that kind of stuff that's in that where the finish actually is. You'll run down Peachtree and then you'll turn onto 10th Street and finish at 10th Street. I love it. The first batch of runners is always the professional runners. Those are the people qualifying for Olympics or whatever. They have the paraplegic, like the people in wheelchairs. That's fascinating to watch them do it. And then they let the fun runners go. And you'll have so much fun, you guys. Like, it's a party. It's a 10K, a 6.2 miles that you're going to run 10K, and they're going to have bands like every few blocks. You're going to have people cheering you on. The whole city is going to shut down. Like, we get stuck, like we can't leave. They shut the roads down for it. So you're going to have all the people that live around the city out there cheering you on, from Buckhead all the way to Midtown where I live. And so it's a very magical experience, and hopefully it will give you a boost of confidence in humanity by seeing so many people come out there. You're going to see people running with American flags, all that kind of stuff. And so please, if you are running it, please let me know, because I would love to be your cheerleader. I always say emotional. I would love to be able, I love the end of road races, because that's when nobody in a road race is yelling abusive, bullying things to you. Like, everybody's helping each other. You see packs of girls holding hands, crossing the line. Those girls have done so much stuff together. You see parents running with their children, and the parents are slowing down to like run with their kids. You see military men doing it. You see so many people coming out to challenge themselves, to face their own perceived limitations and complete a really hard run together. Because part of Peachtree, they call it Cardiac Hill. Atlanta's at the base of Appalachia, so it's a very hilly city. And Peachtree, the main Peachtree, which I live right off of, it's a slow hill that goes up. And so they call it Cardiac Hill, because by the time you get to 10th Street to turn, you have literally been slowly going uphill for a few miles. And it's a challenge. And so seeing people banding together to get through it and to go across the finish line is such an incredibly powerful thing to witness. I used to be a long distance runner. I've run the Peachtree before, and it's so fun. It's so fun. And so please let me know if you're going to be there. I would love to give you that support. So, all right, you guys, let me blow my nose, because with that being said, let's talk about Gypsy. As y'all know, I want to bring Toddy back on. I'm going to reach out to Toddy after the 4th of July, though, because I know it's like I know for people this week is crazy with family stuff and, just being off of work and the holiday. But Gypsy is the gift that keeps on giving. And this case, as I said to Toddy, and I'll tag those videos down below, I'm so fascinated with this case. And part of the reason why I'm fascinated with this case is because it's a shit show. And it's so unbelievably obvious that there is corruption here. And I believed it. Like when the whole Munchausen by proxy thing came out and all the documentaries came out when she was in prison, I believed them. That was because her medical records had not been released yet. That is because we didn't have FOIAs. And so the only narrative that we as the general public had was that she was defending herself against her mother because her mother was basically slowly unaliving her through Munchausen by proxy. And so when she was released, I believe it was the end of 2023, like the very end of it, like right after Christmas before New Year, going into 2024. I was like, thank God, good for her. She's out. She can go live her life now. Bless her heart. But then her behavior started to change. And I already noticed before that there was some inconsistencies in her story. I already noticed that some of the incidences would be changed a little bit story to story, but I just chucked that up to trauma, that she's in trauma. And I know she admits to lying a lot. And again, I gave her a pass because I thought, she's been beaten up and she's had this terrible childhood. So let her figure this out. Of course, there's a little bit of arrested development here, but this is the response of trauma. So I'm not going to judge her too harshly. But then it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And we started to see, I say, because I wasn't the only one noticing this. A lot of people were posting about it, that there was just some blatant manipulation happening. There was blatant manipulation happening. There was bad behavior happening. There was actual targeting of people calling her out happening. And so I couldn't, over time, my ability to defend her lessened. Then the whole micro deletion was exposed. So I think I was watching Flawless Nina when I first realized that this girl is actually sick. And so what I said to Toddy is, my first impression of Gypsy Rose when she was arrested in 2015, I remember watching it on the news. I was packing up for India, and my first initial thought was, oh my God, she looks like there's something wrong with her. And I felt bad for that. Like, I felt bad, like, that's not nice, Bryce. Like, you're basically calling her ugly. Like, she's been treated terribly, like, give her time. But what I think I saw was the micro deletion. And that's the way nature works, right? With a lot of these issues, these health issues, you can see it on people. And that's not a bad thing. That's because they need to be taken care of. And so when we see it, we notice that there's something wrong. And Gypsy Rose definitely looks like there's something wrong with her chromosomes. Down syndrome is a chromosome disorder, right? Down syndrome is, though, very different from the chromosome deletion that Gypsy Rose has. For example, Down syndrome doesn't turn people into psychopaths. This chromosome deletion that she has, one of the side effects is anti-personality or antisocial disorder. That's it, antisocial. And antisocial doesn't mean, guys, that people don't like to socialize. It means that they don't know how to act in society. They don't understand the rules of society, that's what antisocial. So psychopathy, being a sociopath, a narcissist. She is a major narcissist. She has definitely a walking textbook of what a narcissist is. And she doesn't see it. She thinks when people call her out for bad behavior that they're bullying her. She did a whole video talking about this anti-bully campaign when literally she's the bully. And she talked about how she has freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, yeah, but Jip, so do we. So do we. You ain't special. We all have freedom of speech. And people are calling you out for your bad behavior. And it got even worse. It's just been a total flop shop, messy, especially the realization of the chromosome disorder. So people with FOIAs, with Freedom of Information Act, with her releasing her medical records, dummy, like you shouldn't have done that, but you did, and now they're out there. We see that every single medical procedure that she had as a child was legitimate. It was legitimate. That's why no lawyer will take her case for malpractice. And they've taught, her stepmother has said that they went around to different attorneys to try to file like malpractice lawsuits against some of these doctors who perform some of these procedures, and no one will take her case. Why is that? Why wouldn't an attorney jump on taking this huge national case to obviously win it for malpractice? Because there was no malpractice. That's why the attorneys won't take it. There was no malpractice. Every single thing medically that Gypsy Rose went through was because of her chromosome disorder. All of it. In a Dr. Phil interview from prison, she claimed that she had had like 30 surgeries. You guys want to know something? Looking through her medical records, I've had more surgeries than she's had. They showed like where her scars were on her body. I have more scars on my body from medical procedures. This girl has had literally only a few surgeries. Like most of us, I guarantee you, if you look at her medical records, you've had more surgeries than she's had. What she's considering surgeries are procedures, which aren't surgeries. It's different. And every procedure was done because of her chromosome disorder. It's just maddening. It's maddening. I mean, and the thing is with this chromosome disorder, girl, if you watch this, you do have a shortened life expectancy. That's part of it. So you need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself, Gypsy. You're sick. You have a sickness. You have a deletion in your chromosome 1, I believe it is. Don't quote me, I'm not a doctor, but you can look at this chromosome deletion. I can pull it up. Jip, this isn't going away. Like, this isn't, you don't have a cold, right? This is something you were born with. This is not going to change in this life, right? This is not going to change in this life. Let's look at what chromosome deletion disorder she has for you guys. Gypsy Rose Blanchard has been diagnosed with 1q21.1 microdeletion, a genetic condition in which a small piece of chromosome 1 is deleted in each cell. What is 1q21.1 microdeletion? It's a chromosomal change that can increase the risk of delayed development, intellectual disability. She ain't that smart. We definitely see that. That's physical abnormalities. She has physical abnormalities. Look at her head. Her head is very much poster child for this chromosome disorder. Neurological and psychiatric problems. Neurological and psychiatric problems. Like the fact she deleted her mom. Like, who even considers doing that? Gypsy Rose Blanchard's diagnosis is significance. Gypsy Rose was diagnosed with 1q21.1 microdeletion in 2012. I think it's actually 2011. I'm going to correct that. And that's when the first time they were able to diagnose this on a patient was I think 2008. But they knew, we see it in Gypsy's records from the time she was born. And some of these side effects, these, symptoms were apparent to enough for her mom to take her to the doctor. They knew it was a chromosome issue. We see that from the very beginning. Her father has even admitted that in interviews, that they knew by the time she was a baby that she had a chromosome disorder. They just didn't know which one. And when the equipment got better and they were able to actually look at it, that's when they were able to figure out which one it was. All right. She wrote about it in her book, My Time to Stand, which ain't nothing but lies. And honestly, that book is nothing but porn. It is disgusting. It is a disgusting book. Noting that many of the illnesses her mother, Dee Dee, claimed she had fell under the potential impacts of this microdeletion. No, that's not right. This is Gypsy now. She's trying to backpedal because we've all figured it out. We've all figured it out because you released your medical records, Gyp. You did that to yourself. The truth always comes out. You were not ABUSED'd. You were not. You actually had, what child that goes through ABUSE goes to Disney World multiple times? What your mother was guilty of was conning charities. She was a petty criminal, a petty con woman for charities, and she did that for you, Gypsy, so that you would have a good life, because your father sure as hell weren't helping her out. She was a single mom. All right. Now, she has said her daughter has tested negative. I don't believe that. I mean, I hope that her daughter has tested negative. Look here, guys. So this right here, this girl right here that I'm circling, this is the girl that's on the pamphlet. So when your child is diagnosed with this chromosome disorder and they give you information, this is a picture of the girl that's the literal poster child for this microdeletion. And then here's Gypsy Rose. We see the microdeletion, don't we? That's what I saw in 2015 when she came on the news and I was packing for India. That was my first reaction by looking at her face. You can tell by looking at her face, there is something wrong. There is something wrong. Now, she said her daughter's been tested because this does get passed down, and she has come back negative. Again, I'm not 100% sold on that story, but I do know that Gypsy Rose, you don't have to share. Gypsy, you get yourself in trouble by sharing too much. Maybe that's your cognitive intellectual disability. I don't know. But she has claimed that for her other children, when she has more children, God, I hope she doesn't, because I don't think she's the greatest mother. I think she's going to ABUSC that baby. That's my opinion. That they're going to do IVF. They're going to do IVF to make sure that future children don't get this disorder. So if this disorder is not that big of a deal, as Gypsy has said in many interviews, if it's really not that big of a deal and her mother fabricated it, then why are you trying to not pass it on? Because it is a fucking big deal, Gypsy. It's a big deal. What is wrong with you? Change the course of your mother's life. Bless your mother's heart. You have a chromosome disorder. This isn't something that's going to go away. You are going to have this for the rest of your life. Them's the cards you were dealt. You can't change it. You can't wish it away. This is part of your karma, Gypsy. And we all got it. We all have karma. Listen, Gyp, one of the surgeries I had as a child was on my back. I had spinal surgery. And this is another reason why your story of medical ABUSC is bullshit. This is another reason. This never really sat right to me either when I believed you, because I come from a medical doctor family, first of all, whole family. So I know, especially with like surgeons or specialized doctors, there is a lot of red tape. They don't just go hacking into people, especially with surgeons. What people don't understand, and I have a lot of surgeons in my family, that's like the main mode of medicine that my family practices is surgery. Surgery is always the last option. Even if you go to a surgeon, the surgeon is not going to immediately hack into you unless that's what's absolutely necessary. If it's an emergency situation like an appendicitis, obviously it's go time. We got to get that sucker out. But even in my situations growing up, Gyp, so Gyp, like you, I was born with something too. What I was born with isn't that big of a deal, though. 15% of the world population was born with what's called Rh negative. So that's my blood type. I am Rh negative. Hold on, guys. Sorry, my air was blowing really cold on my feet, so I had to turn it off. So I was born Rh negative. I'm O negative, which is the most potent of all the Rh negatives. And this does not really hinder me in most aspects of life, but there are a few health issues that Rh negatives have. Now, unlike you, Gypsy, one of the side effects with intellect for Rh negative is we actually chart higher in intellect than Rh positives by far. So we have generally higher intellect. Now, that's just generally speaking, but I don't have the cognitive delays that you have. I'm actually really smart. I come from smart parents. I come from smart grandparents. It's just in my genes. A lot of my people watching right now are incredibly smart. You're not. You're just not smart, right? You're not. And that's okay. Sometimes ignorance is bliss. Sometimes I think it would be better in life to be a little dumb, right? Like simpler life, right? People with higher intellect tend to fall into depression more and anxiety more. That's just how it is. But another side effect of being Rh negative, which causes a lot of health problems, is the fact that a lot of Rh negatives are born with extra organs and an extra vertebrae. Every single Rh negative I know in my personal life has an extra organ. I have an extra urinary tube, which isn't, where your kidneys to your bladder, you have supposed to have two. I have two on one side and one on the other. I have a friend who has an extra kidney. But the back issues with the vertebrae is a small percentage of Rh negatives that I have an extra vertebrae too. Now, the problem with me is a lot of Rh negatives who have an extra vertebrae don't really have many health issues because of it. If their torso is long enough to hold the extra vertebrae, but my torso is not long enough to hold that extra vertebrae. And so I started to have back problems when I was 13 in the 7th grade. I remember it like it was yesterday. I started to have significant problems with walking, with my hips, just excruciating pain in my back. And I remember my parents being concerned. They thought it was growing pains at first, but it got to the point where I was really having a hard time just even carrying a backpack. And so they took me to a doctor. And that's when they did the x-ray. And I remember the doctor like counting. They're like, "Oh my God, you have an extra." And that's the Rh negative. Like that just happens with O negatives a lot. And so from the age of 13 to the age of 17, so for 4 years, I worked with a neurologist and a physical therapist. I remember my mother getting up in the morning with me, which probably started me getting up early to exercise, doing physical therapy with me before school. Because what was happening, Gyp, is that because my torso wasn't long enough to house that extra vertebrae, my body was trying to push it out because there was no space. And so it was hitting my nerves. I was losing feeling in my legs. And what my neurosurgeon, what my doctor, Dr. Ferguson, I'll never forget him. I think he's passed away. I think he's no longer with us anymore, but he was really good friends with my grandfather. For 4 years, Gyp, he did everything he could to prevent me from having to undergo back surgery. And he's a neurosurgeon. That's his job, is to do surgery. But he was my primary physician when it came to my spine. And we went for 4 long years trying everything we could with physical therapy. I remember having steroid injections, all kinds of stuff, sleeping on top of magnets. I remember my parents, who are not woo-woo at all, literally got me a magnet mattress to see if that would help my body reshift to give that extra vertebrae space. And then when I was 17, I went into a checkup, an appointment, and they would do this thing, Gyp, where they would put a blanket over my leg so I couldn't see, and they would take a little needle to kind of prick the back of my legs. And I wouldn't know which leg was being pricked. And they were checking to see if I was losing feeling in my legs, if it was becoming dangerous. Because if you lose feelings in your legs, you also lose control of your bladder and your bowels. And so that's what they were checking for. And my right leg, it was my right leg, I didn't react to being pricked. So that means that I had lost feeling in the back of my right leg. And I still from time to time do lose a little bit of feeling in the back. There's some numbness back there. And so at that point, Dr. Ferguson was like, "We have to do surgery. We have to try to move this bone." And so at 17 years old, I had spinal surgery. Now, the surgery in a lot of ways didn't work. It did work for a while. It got me through college. It got me through my early 20s. But then I started to realize I started having back pain again. I went on a roller coaster ride, and I think that's what did it. I think my body just wasn't secure enough. And around that time, I also found yoga. And so I started to really learn how to use my body. And now I will never, I know what to do now. So whenever I feel like I've lost something, whenever I check the back of my leg and I feel it, or I can tell by my feet now, like I'll have a couple of toes that'll go numb, or more importantly, like if I feel the soles of my feet are on fire, that means that there's some nerve compression. And so I know what to do now. I figured out from my early 20s to now at 42 what to do to course correct that. I know exactly what postures to do, what twists to do, to what strengthening my core, really getting my core strong to kind of pull my back into place. And that's just a cross that I'm going to have to bear, Gyp. I'm going to be dealing with that until the day that I die. Because like I can't change my blood type, and I don't want to change my blood type. I love being rhesus negative. There's a lot of benefit to being rhesus negative, and you can actually tell I'm rhesus negative. There are, just like you, Jip Jip, there are signs. My eyes, for example, a rhesus negative person will have little gold. So I don't know if you can see there. It's really weird because I'm looking at the camera. There's like kind of with my blue, there's like gold, yellow around it. See that? That's sign of Rh negative. So regardless of what your eye color is, if you're Rh negative, you're going to have little gold specks in your eye, right? My head shape is very common for Rh negatives. The way my cheekbones go, the way that my head sits back, that's very common for Rh negatives. So you can tell, if you know what to look for, you can tell looking at me that I am Rh negative. Just like we can tell looking at you that you have a microdeletion. It is what it is. So you're sitting there like an idiot trying to convince us that this is no big deal when it's a fucking big deal, Gypsy. It's a big deal. You needed that feeding tube. You had failure to thrive, which I think if I were a parent and my child had failure to thrive, I would be freaking out that my child had. That's not good, Gypsy. Your body was not obtaining the nutrients it needed to grow as a child. It's important to get your nutrients as adults, yes, but as a child, you're trying to grow your brain, you're trying to grow your organs, not to mention your bones, your muscles. That is when it's so important that your child is getting all the nutrients. That's why a lot of parents make children finish their plates, which is a topic for a different day. I don't necessarily agree with that, but because it's important that kids get nutrients. It's not just about growing tall, it's about the organs as well. Let's talk about your height, Gypsy. You're 4'11". That's borderline little person. Was it like 4'9", 4'10" is the cutoff? Then if you're like an inch shorter, you would be considered a little person. You would be considered to have a form of dwarfism. That is common with your microdeletion. That's common. I'm the average. The average woman is between 5'2" and 5'5". I'm 5'5". So I'm average. I don't have a height disparity. You do. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. But there are obviously some issues that come with height. You've just learned how to drive, which good for you. You've got your driver's license, but you've posted videos and you are so close to the steering wheel, Gypsy. People have commented this to you, that if your airbags go off, it's going to kill you. You might need some extenders. What little people use, like extenders for the brakes and the gas so that you can sit further back in your chair. That video you posted of your child in her car seat and she wasn't buckled in properly. Like people got concerned. They were calling you out because your baby was not buckled into her car seat. Do you understand, Gypsy? This might be a cognitive delay for you, but if your baby daddy, Ken, who was driving, had been rear-ended, not his fault, if he had been rear-ended, your child would have gone flying through the front window. That's physics. And that's why people were freaking out about that video you posted, because you had your child's life in incredible danger. If Ken had been pulled over by a police and they saw that, they would have ticketed you guys for that. This is serious. This is serious. You put your child's life at hardcore risk. You endangered your child in that video. And people calling you out for that is not bullying you. Because it's not about you. It's about your child. And the general public is concerned, as am I. I'm very concerned for your baby. I'm very concerned for her. It doesn't seem like you spend that much time with her, which is probably for the best that you don't spend much time with her, because you posted a picture of her napping in a crib and you had a diffuser and like a sound machine plugged up sitting on the edge of the crib. Gypsy, you could have killed your kid. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that that's not okay. Those things are not stable. And your child can't get up and run away. I worry about your baby's safety. I also worry about the fact that your baby is getting more attention than you because you're a narcissist. Gypsy, your baby is her own independent person. She's not yours. She's an independent, autonomous being. Most people have babies because they want to love their children. I think you had a baby because you wanted something that was an accessory for you. And I think you did it to try to trap Ken. Darling, babies don't trap men. I've never had a child, but I can tell you that for sure. For sure. Babies do not trap men. They will leave. They will leave regardless. Look what happened with you. Your dad wasn't around. Your dad didn't stay with your mom. What makes you think Ken's going to stay with you just because you had a baby? There's so many single moms and single dads out there and kids who have divorced parents. The kids don't keep men around. I would never, I mean, if I got pregnant in a toxic relationship, obviously I would keep the baby, but I would never expect that man to stick around for the baby. And if I was in a toxic relationship, the last thing I'd be trying to do is get pregnant because that's not fair to that child. Now let's talk about your night out, which I have secondhand embarrassment for you, Gypsy. Why were you in prison? You deleted your mom. You committed schmurder. Like, to really process what you did. And now that we've seen the FOIAs, your involvement in that unaliving is way more than these little bullshit documentaries made it out to be. You were not under any type of danger with your mom. Let's talk about the power of attorney that you've claimed in your documentaries, that your mom had power of attorney over you, and therefore anytime you tried to run away, she would just bring you back. That's bullshit. And I always thought that sounded weird because I think you're confusing power of attorney for conservatorship. Your mom did not have a conservatorship over you. She had power of attorney. Darling, Jip, almost every functioning, healthy adult on this planet has somebody already designated as their power of attorney. I have a power of attorney. What does this mean? A power of attorney means that if something happens, if I'm on life support, if I'm in an accident, I go to life support, I've already designated somebody in my life as power of attorney to make the decision as to whether to pull the plug or not. That's what a power of attorney is. If you are incapacitated, they step in to make your decisions. For most people, the power of attorney is either their parents or a sibling. In some cases, it's a spouse. In my case, it's my sister. I would trust my boyfriend, and I think my sister would actually converse with my boyfriend if something were to happen to me. She would actually, I think, sit down with him and have him help her make the decision. But legally, my sister is the one who would make the decision. Why would I pick my sister or a parent? Well, our parents are getting older, so I've made it my sister. If something happens to me where I am on life support, this is going to sound like an oxymoron, but a family member, like a sibling or a parent, is going to objectively love you unconditionally, which both seem to be polar opposites. What I mean about this is my sister loves me unconditionally. She's my sister. I love her unconditionally. There's nothing I can do in this world that's going to push my sister away. Same with her and me. So she has an unconditional love for me as her sister, right? She's not trying to use me in any way. She's not trying to take from me. She unconditionally loves me as her sister, as her sibling. Now, objectively, this is where the objectives come in. She's going to be able, because of that unconditional love for me as a sibling, she's going to be able to make the hard decision if she needs to. Because objectively, she knows what I would have wanted. She knows that if there's a situation where I'm not coming back, where the only thing keeping me alive and keeping my brain in function is the life machine, the oxygen, if there's no chance that my conscience, like I'm going to be consciously aware, she knows that I want her to pull the plug. My boyfriend knows that too. He's asked the same of me if it were to happen to him. Give it a few days. If the doctors say there's just no coming back, she knows what I want her to do. And because she loves me unconditionally, she's going to be able to look at the situation objectively and pull the damn plug. It would be something like that would probably be the hardest thing any human being would ever have to do. I would do the same for her. I would do the same for but we know that that's what they want. They don't want to be kept up, hooked up on machines. They would just want to go. That is what power of attorney is, Gypsy. It says it. It's been released. Becca Scoops just showed. I'm going to tag Becca Scoops below. She just released. It was just if something happened to you or you were incapacitated, she would then make your decisions because at that point you were over the age of 18. When you're under the age of 18, your parents automatically have power of attorney. When my mother and my father got divorced, and I was in my early 20s, this was before my sister was legally over the age of 18. I remember, and I'm sure now my mother has now designated my stepfather as her power of attorney. I don't know though, but I know when I was in my early 20s, my mother pulled me aside when I was visiting home, and she said, just so you know, you are now my power of attorney. If something happens to me, because I was the only child of hers that was over the age of 18, I had to make the decision. She let me know that she is my power. I am her power of attorney now as her oldest child. I'm sure it's either now my sister and me collectively or now it's my stepdad, but she had a conversation with me about that because I was still young. I was still in my early 20s, and because my parents were divorced, she wanted to make sure that I was aware that this responsibility would fall on my shoulders, especially if something had happened to her before my youngest sister was over the age of 18. That was a burden I was going to have to bear. Thank God it hasn't happened that way. But Jip Jip, that's normal. That's normal. Your mother did not have any legal power over you. She had that's a conservatorship. Like what Britney Spears had happened to her. You didn't have a conservatorship, Jip Jip. You were just as free to leave your house as I am. As I am. You could have left your house, moved to California, lived a completely independent life from your mother. And if something had happened to you, if you had been in a car accident or if your microdeletion had left you incapacitated, that is when your mother would have stepped in to make the medical and legal decisions for you. That is what a power of an attorney is. And everyone's got one. Everyone has one. I have one. It means nothing on my day-to-day life. It doesn't mean that my sister can come in and tell me what to do and hold me captive. No. All that means is that something happens to me where I can't make decisions anymore, my sister will step in and make those decisions for me. That's what that means. And who else was going to be your power of attorney, Jip Jip? But your mama. Your mama lived her whole life to make you happy. So that's bullshit. We also know, thanks to the awesome Becca Scoops and her research, that your mother didn't lie to the Missouri doctors. You claimed that after Hurricane Katrina, that your mama claimed all of your medical records disappeared. That was your lie, though. Because now we have the actual medical evidence that your mother never lied. Your mother definitely turned over all of your medical information from Louisiana. That never happened. The doctors were fully well aware of your medical issues. It's there. Now, getting back to you being released from parole. We know that state-wise, you were charged by the state of Missouri, so Missouri can't charge you again. That's double jeopardy, but the federal government can still charge you. If new evidence, and you took a plea deal, those plea deals become null and void if new evidence arises. And you are doing nothing but making an ass out of yourself. There is already a petition going around to get the federal government to charge you, and I have signed it. I believe that you are a danger to society. Now, you got released from parole on June 25th. You went out on the town in New Orleans to celebrate. Gypsy, that's the most white trash thing you could have done. You went to prison for deleting your mother. You're not celebrating getting out of college or securing a new job or finally settling a divorce from a nasty relationship. You should be ashamed of yourself. You were celebrating being released from your sentence for literally taking your mother's life. That is why people are pissed off, Gypsy. because you don't get it. You don't get it. And all your friends that were with you, they're fucking thugs, Gypsy. You are the company that you keep. You're like, oh, I can't control my friends. You are the company that you keep. No, you can't control your friends, but if my friends were acting like thugs, they wouldn't be my friends anymore. But I have good enough friends that if I were in your shoes, my friends would be like, Bryce, we're not going to go out. So that's tacky. No, girl, like you can't go out. You unalived your mom. Like we can't, like we got to play this low key. And so what did people do? They put money down to hire a moving billboard to remind the people of New Orleans, the good people of New Orleans, that you are a schmurderer. Nothing that they put on that billboard was defamation. It was all true. And somehow you think that if something hurts your feelings or pisses you off, it then becomes like this legal matter and it's they're just, no, that's not how that works, Gypsy. And guess what, Gypsy? You're a public person. So am I. It sucks sometimes because there's some things that happen to us that we don't get the same reception from the court system that would happen to a private person. You have made yourself, you crave the spotlight. You think you are Kim Kardashian. And the funny thing is that your reality show was so fucking boring. I am the queen of reality TV. I love reality TV. It's my junk food. I love it. I watched your shows just because I'm keeping up with your case. There were times I had to rewind stuff because I'd be so damn bored watching your shows that my mind would drift and I wouldn't be paying attention. You're not made for reality TV, Gypsy. You're not entertaining enough. You're not smart enough to be quick-witted. You're not smart enough to understand the charisma that's needed to have, you don't have the it factor. You're not Stassi Schroeder. You're not Denise Richards. You're not Kim Kardashian. You don't have what it takes to make a boring life entertaining, because a lot of these reality show people are able to take the mundane, boring existence that they live and make it entertaining. You don't have the ability to do that. But no one's ever told you no, Gypsy. No one's ever given you the hard truths about life. So you think it's that temper tantrum like a spoiled child that you deserve to be some sort of celebrity because you unalived your mom. You said to someone, oh, that was so 10 years ago. That was your mother's life. Unaliving, deleting someone is never going to be so 10 years ago. And a normal-minded person would understand that. Someone that doesn't have psychiatric issues would understand that. You do. You're a psychopath, in my opinion. A sociopath, psychopath. I think you're all of it. You're a narcopath. This might sound harsh, Gypsy. If you're watching this, I don't know, but sound off in the comment section to my friends. It takes a lot for me to say this because I am a person that will try to see the positive in other people. I really try to pull back on judgment until I have all the facts. I think there's good in everyone. But when I say this, so as I say this, this is hard for me to say. I don't think there's an ounce of good in you, Gypsy. I don't think there's an ounce of good in you. I think your whole makeup is evil. It's pure, unadulterated evil. You are so unbelievably selfish. You are so unbelievably cunning and evil and manipulative. You don't know what it's like to actually love another person. People to you are tools for your own gratification. You don't know what it's like to actually care for someone, to have guilt about something. Your mom loved you. She was the only one, darling, because you're a mess. You are a danger to society. Yes, people are trying to get the federal courts to recharge you because you should not be out. Nothing you do is good. Now, more and more and more is coming out about the scams you're running, the cons you're running. There's not a part of you. You don't even know how to you won't even go get a job. You think the world owes you. You think the world owes you a free house and a free stroller, that the money you make off of your documentary should just be for you for fun money like a 12-year-old getting an allowance. Darling, adults have to pay the bills. And you're throwing temper tantrums because you claim you have no more money. Because you spend it on bullshit. The world owes you nothing, Gypsy. In fact, you owe the world because you're a danger to the world and you are not healed. And I don't think it's possible for you to be healed. I heard Flawless Nina say this, and I'm going to agree with her. You guys know when it comes to the penalty, the ultimate penalty, I have very mixed feelings about that. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable with that at all in most situations. But I hate to say it, Jip Jip, for you, I would consider it. Because you have shown us that you cannot be in society. All you do is hurt people. You dox people. You share private medical information, and it just makes you look bad, Gypsy. When you shared your ex-husband's private medical information, you thought that it was going to make him look bad. No, honey, it made you look bad. The rest of us were empathetic to him because you ain't nothing but a cold-hearted schmurderer who bullies and abuses people. And these awesome humans on the internet, like Sir Morbid, Becca Scoops, Hello Starlight, Apple Charlotte, Toddy One Skip. I know I'm leaving people out. Nicole. They're not going to stop, Gypsy, because you're not stopping. And humanity has taken it amongst themselves to try to protect each other from you. Those billboards, your mask slipped big time, Jip Jip, in that video. Your mask slipped. The eyes, your evil eyes came out. A real celebrity, Gypsy, would have just ignored it. You freaked the fuck out. And you were talking about how they could have spent that $1,000 on feeding the homeless. What about the Habitat for Humanity house you stole? What about all those Make-A-Wish trips you conned with your mom? That could have gone to deserving children. So you're not one to talk. And actually, that moving billboard did do something because it triggered you enough to hopefully there comes a deeper investigation into you. And hopefully we see handcuffs soon. Hopefully the federal government will get its ass in gear and get you off the streets. The best thing you can do for your child is to leave your child alone and let your child be raised by her grandparents. That's the best thing you can do for her. I fear your child won't even live to see adulthood. I think you're going to do something. You talked an awful lot about SIDS in some of your posts. A new parent might be a little concerned about SIDS, but they're not going to make a gazillion social media posts about SIDS. What are you doing, Gypsy? Are you trying to prepare us for the fact that you're going to kill your baby so that you get more sympathy? Because that's how it reads. Because we know that you do things, you hurt other people, and then you manipulate it in order for you to be fulfilled. It's disgusting, Gypsy. It's disgusting. And yeah, those little, I think it was Radiant Brent who said, what, those extensions that you had in your hair, you look like shit, Gypsy. You look like you got a mullet. You're not hot shit. You're a murderer. You're a psychopath. You're a danger. And I think people in your life are literally afraid of you. And I hope to God that justice is served, because justice has not been served. You took your mother's life and you took Nick's life. The amount of harm you have caused this world is unbelievable. You have done nothing good in this world. You have not given any love to anybody in this world. It's been all about you. And it can be all about you behind some bars. Because you don't need to be out in this world. You are a disgusting piece of shit. Actually, that's saying it nicely. And I am horrified by that video that was released about you freaking out about that movie. I'm horrified, but I'm also glad it happened because your mask slipped. If people didn't know how evil you were, now they do. All right, you guys, that's just my rant for Gypsy Rose. I'm hopefully going to get Toddy once get back on the channel. I'm gonna reach out to her after this week, after the 4th, the holiday of the 4th is over. And yeah, you guys, next episode with Paula and me, I think we're gonna go back into the Cassiopeans. And I think that Catherine and I this week are gonna look at some of my older Mystery Mondays, some of the more salacious ones, and revisit them. And then, of course, we have a special episode in the works for the 4th of July. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day. Again, all Becca Scoops, all that stuff, tag below, tag below. Go check go check her videos out because they're amazing. And let's keep spreading the information because the justice was not done. This person is scary. Let's get society to wake up to this manipulation so that we can protect each other. All right, you guys, have a wonderful week. I will talk to you all soon.